Proverbs 2:3 says, yea, if thou criest after knowledge and lift up thy voice for understanding. Cry after knowledge and lift up thy voice for understanding. So I went to God, and God pulled me right back. And if it doesn't make sense in the beginning, you just hold on to your underwear. It will after a while. Amen?
Amen.
So I want you to write the word confidence. This is going to all make sense. Crying after knowledge, amen, and lifting up thy voice for understanding. Confidence. I looked up the word confidence. The word confidence means full of conviction. You are confident. I mean, this is what was in Webster's, not a Christian Bible. Confident of success. Confident that conditions will improve. Having or showing, I like that, assurance and self-reliance on who you have confidence or trust in.
That's right.
Amen. Confidence. Confidence. Somebody say confidence.
Confidence.
Full of conviction. Say that.
Full of conviction.
And when I read that, I said, I wonder how many of our members can say I'm full of conviction. I'm fully persuaded, fully convicted that I am a believer. I am fully persuaded and fully convicted that I am supposed to live the life that I am living.
Amen.
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 Full of conviction. And when I don't live that way, it affects me. When we were in the world and we did not live this way, it wouldn't have mattered to us at all.
Amen. That's right.
When we were in the world, we did wrong, and we were full of conviction that what we were doing was okay. Amen. This is why a lot of times saints want to give me reasons why it's okay that they're doing something wrong. Or if I ask them to do something, well, Pastor, see, you don't understand. I don't want to hear it. Amen. Because as believers, we are not to live based on reason. Amen. We are to live. See how only 2 people answered? Amen.
Okay, amen. Amen.
When it was wrong, wrong is wrong.
That's right.
Disobedience is wrong. I don't care who does it. Disobedience is wrong.
Amen.
So if I tell you, everybody step to the left, don't nobody do it. I tell you step to the left, and you don't do it because in your mind your back is hurting, that is still not a reason for disobedience. Amen. You still have sin. Amen. Whatever your reasoning is, remember that's coming from your mind. Amen. That's not coming from your spirit. Yes. Reasoning does not justify sin. Amen. It's a deep statement, but it's true. Yes. And it's hard for you to accept. That's why all of you are looking like you are. Because you think, well, Lord, I did it because that doesn't work with God.
That's right.
God gives us rules and regulations. Amen. He tells us what to do and what not to do. When we don't do what God says do, we have sinned. Doesn't matter what the reason is. Well, I took my tithes and I paid my light bill because I didn't want my lights turned off. No, you're under the curse. The Holy Ghost spoke to me this morning and said, pull June and July tithes and offering. I want to show you something. I said, okay. There is no excuse or reason that will stand before God. Now, if man doesn't fit, you must acquit. But I'm not talking about man. I'm talking about God. Amen. And God is not going to put up with it. He said Jesus took all excuses to Calvary.
Amen.
So you have no reason. that will work with God. But our mind, once again, always will find a reason. Always will find a reason why it was okay for you to do what you... Say somebody really pissed you off. Today we did a lot in this heat, Jesus, and I got a little attacked. But we had to pick up a lot of things for the school and the church.
Amen.
Bishop and I. And I was in one parking lot, and I was standing there. My door was open on the passenger side. Bishop was in the trunk, and we're putting, I mean, we've got tons of stuff. Not tons, but tons of stuff we're putting in. And this lady, and she was white, I saw her when she pulled in two lanes, all the way 2 lanes over. When I turned around, and I've got my back to her, and I'm putting stuff, and it's y'all know it was hot today. It's extremely hot. I'm putting stuff in the car. Bishop's in the back. And her car is now at my butt and at my car door. And I'm going, wait a minute. She came from, I'm not talking about 2 spaces. I'm talking about 2 lanes over. And there was enormous amount of empty parking spaces. And I'm thinking in my mind,
That's right.
why she come way over here? And there were several spaces right above me. Why did you pull in here? And you are literally, her bumper was literally at my butt and at the door.
Jesus.
So I closed the door, moved in so she could park. I just knew she was going to say, I'm sorry. One hand says, right. She got out the car, rolled her eyes at me, and walked away. Immediately my mind said, see, this just like Trayvon Martin. Don't nobody care.
No more.
If you black, she a white woman, older woman, she don't care. She wasn't that old, but she don't care. And I said, I guess I'm not human. I guess I'm invisible. She still didn't say nothing. By that time, she was at the end of my car. My mind said, this woman tried to hit you.
That's right.
And you ain't gonna say nothing out your mouth. I was instantly angry, especially when my heart is with Trayvon Martin. Because it is obvious that human beings see us as not worth a dime.
That's right. That's right.
And so my mind said, see, this needs to be a Trayvon Martin can't say nothing, but you could say something. And after I said, I guess I'm not human, I'm invisible, and she still didn't say anything, I was going there. In fact, my mind said, you need to walk up to her and say, excuse me, you didn't see me standing, you almost said me.
Yeah, that's what the mind
But the Holy Ghost
go ahead. Go ahead.
said, begin to pray in tongues. And I went, Shamama shit that. And I heard out my ear, Bishop in the trunk praying in tongues. When you are built up in your spirit man,
Amen.
now she doesn't understand who she almost hit.
That's right. That's right.
I'm a child of the Most High God.
Yeah.
Y'all don't hear me.
Yeah.
I'm a child of the Most High God.
Amen.
You gonna hit me? You gonna bring harm to me? And I truly believe if it was not for the word which says, what? Who knows? Do my prophet no harm. That's going to bring her a curse. No weapon formed shall prosper. I just believe my angels just, I mean, if you had seen that bumper, it was right here. The silver rim was no reason it didn't at least tap me. Never looked at me. Parked it just as nice. And of course my mind, my reasoning. I mean, I'm not a punk.
Amen.
You know, I haven't got how to curse people out. And I was at one time a brown belt. I know how to fight. And if I can't hurt you with my fist, I've been well trained what to pick up, and I can kill you. Literally. Literally. And all of that went shoo. But the word came to me because I've got word built up to me.
Amen.
Oh, y'all didn't get that.
Amen.
Go to Proverbs 3:26. So, exhibiting confidence in the word, and I could have still cussed her out. He probably caused a big hoopla, and I'm in Chesterfield, so they're going to lock this black person up. I wanted to say the N-word, but I'm going to say this black person up. You know, old white woman, she's going to be right regardless. But I didn't really care about that at that time.
That's right, man.
But it was the word that was already in me that when he spoke to me, I had confidence in him. Because he says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Amen. I will repay. Amen. Nobody gets away. Amen. And then he says, touch not my anointed, and do my prophet no harm. Amen. I'm the anointed of God. I'm a prophetess of God. Amen. God help that woman. Amen. Amen. For the Lord shall be thy confidence, and read, and shall be thy foot from evil. Yeah. I just know God kept me from getting hit. Amen. You know, I wouldn't bother nobody. I wasn't doing nothing but putting my stuff in my car. Amen. But if the devil had his way, but because God is my confidence, thank you, Lord, he made sure it didn't happen. She almost looked angry that she didn't hit me. Because she looked at me and she went, and went on in. See, you got to have confidence in God's word that he's doing and going to do what he said. Amen. Go to Psalms 118:8. Confidence. Being full of conviction. Being fully convinced that God and what he says will happen. Yeah. See, you cannot fool God. You cannot hide from God. That's right. God knows what we think. God knows what we feel. He knows the truth about us. Amen. We can fool human beings, but you cannot fool God Almighty. Amen. We'll put on a front to get what we want or to persuade people, but God knows our heart. God knows our thoughts. God knows truth. Read this. Read. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. A lot of times, even in relationships, we get in trouble, husbands and wives, because we don't date in this ministry. I said we don't date in this ministry. But husbands and wives, you put too much or you put confidence in man. You don't put confidence in man, you put confidence in the Christ in your husband or wife. Amen. That it is able to do what it needs to do. Amen. 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 Sometimes Bishop and I would not get along, and I know I'm right and he's wrong, but I'll go off somewhere and just shout over. Just pray. So you need to pray in the spirit because you don't really know how to pray. In the natural. You really don't know. We really don't know what to say out of our mouth. That's right. That's why we're supposed to only speak the word or pray in tongues. Because anything else, us human beings. Yeah. Go to Proverbs 25:19. You have to be full of conviction, confident, having or showing assurance. God is watching us. Amen. The word faithfulness means confidence. God, you can't be faithful if you ain't got confidence in God. Amen. You'll be wavering because when trials, tribulations, or things just ain't right, like that lady today, you will lose it because you don't have faith in God. Amen. You don't have confidence, so you can't have faith. Amen. Read. like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint. You can't get confidence in God and you in trouble.
That's right.
You facing 50 years because you disobeyed God as a child of God. You did what you wanted to do. Who was it? Was it Brother Davis? No. Somebody told me, oh, I remember it used to be Brother Pryor. He said his mother was in and out emergency room. She had a poison in her blood with a tattoo. Now, she was a Christian and went and got tattooed. If you got tattooed before you got saved, God says that's covered under the blood. But after, I don't care what no church tell you, the word is the word. You don't tattoo your body and you don't mark it. That's what the Bible says. Somebody said that's what the Bible says. But before we were saved, we were heathens, Gentiles, barbarians, and we did whatever. So that is under the blood if you already have one. You don't even have to try to get it covered or whatever. It's okay, it's under the blood. No, forget folk. God's covered, got you covered, okay? But to go do that after you're saved is an abomination. Now I know there was a church, the Rock was teaching that's the Old Testament and we're under the blood, so therefore you don't need to obey the Old Testament. So I guess thou shalt not kill is out of the box too. So we can kill each other. Because the Ten Commandments says thou shalt not kill. Ten Commandments shall thou shalt not steal. But I guess I can go in your pocketbook right about now. Who wants
don't try it.
I mean, come on, that's Old Testament. So that ought to be out the window too, right? No, we live by the whole word. Amen. The whole word. Amen. So she went and got a tattoo and got blood disease. And they said it was from the ink in the tattoo. To the point that at the last, I know they wanted to cut the leg off. She had lost the ability to walk, and the poison was going through the body. The price for sin. Disobedience is a grave sin. You know, leaders tell you to do something, but you're going to do what you want to do. Parents tell you to do something, but you're going to do what you want to do. The Bible tells you submit to those that have authority over you. For they watch over your soul. Well, that's bishop and pastor, the leaders of this house. So if we say everybody here at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning for prayer, guess where every member should be?
Hallelujah.
Excuse me? I know it hurt. Do like this. Just swallow your... Now say, I got to be here at 5 a.m. I know that hurt, but, you know. I didn't hear God say thank you. But I got to do so and so and so. No. That's reasoning.
That's it.
You must obey. You must obey. And if you have confidence in God's word, you'll obey, because he says that disobedience is rebellion. And rebellion is witchcraft.
That's the word.
So when you disobey, God sees you as a witch. Young people are looking at me like they're crazy. But you're not the only ones that disobey.
That's right. That's right.
Adults disobey all day long.
Amen.
You see a stop sign, why didn't you stop?
That's true, very fast.
The sign said 45, why are you doing 60? Why are you doing, here go one, get ready to say out, why are you doing 45?
Amen.
See how they're quiet against, that's when I know I'm in the right place.
Amen.
The sign said 40 miles an hour is the speed limit. So what is the believer supposed to do? Boy, it's quiet up there. Say amen to that.
Amen.
When you have real knowledge of who God is, and you exhibit that, we're going to get to that word, exhibit that by praising him, that lets God and everybody else know you have confidence in God. Who, when they sat down this evening, checked their chair before they sat down? Please raise your hand. Before you sat in the chair, you checked it. Nobody? Why? Why didn't you check it?
I don't think that you understand.
So you just believe that chair was going to hold you?
Yeah.
Why aren't we living like that for God?
Amen.
That's right. Amen, man.
That's good. Amen.
You ought to be able to live your life confident that I am doing the Word of God, which is the will of God. You go around and say, I don't know what the will of God is for my life, then you're not reading your Bible.
Amen.
Because the will for your life is in the Word. The Word is His will.
Amen.
His will is His Word.
Amen.
See, people want a word. Give me a word, what I'm supposed to do for God. Well, first thing, study to show yourself approved,
That's
the
it.
workman
That's
that
it.
need not be ashamed,
Yeah.
rightly dividing the word of truth.
Amen.
2 Timothy 2:15. Try that. Then try obedience is better than sacrifice. Try that on.
Amen.
Try those on. See, these are the fundamental things
Yes.
that saints want to jump over,
Yes.
but you want favor from God. You're supposed to be exhibiting confidence. You exhibited confidence tonight because you sat your butt in that chair.
Amen.
Anybody lift up their hood and check their battery before they started their car? No? You didn't get under the car and check your brakes before you drove? Anybody? Anybody pull the wheel, check their brakes before they drove today? Hello? Anybody?
Amen.
Why not? You had confidence in that car going 40 to 60, 65. Some of y'all passed that. Miles an hour was going to stop when you told it to stop. Y'all really? You had confidence in a piece of machinery made by a human being.
That's right.
How old is your car?
2000, I think it was
2000. Rochelle?
99.
2004.
Ezekiel?
2002.
William?
2008.
Sister Willis?
2008.
And none of y'all checked your cars.
No, I didn't.
You mean, I just want to make sure that I'm hearing right. You mean you got into a piece of machinery made by a human being 9, 10, 5, 4, 3 years ago, and you didn't check your brakes even? I don't understand. Did you drive? Did you drive? Did you drive? How you doing? Do you find it surprising? Because I do. Y'all just got in your car. You just got in your truck. Sister Cheryl, there we go. What year is your car? 95. So I am positive that this sister pulled her wheels and checked her brakes before she got in that car. You looked at the hood, made sure it had a good charge, battery was okay. What'd you do?
Get in it,
What did she do? How come you ain't getting it and going with God? You're going to trust a human being that made that car 10, 11. When last time you had your brakes put on the truck? 12 months ago?
Not quite. Say 5 about 2 months.
10 months ago?
That's right.
And you ain't checked it? And you thought, but you didn't even think about it,
Didn't even think about it.
that when you put your foot on the brake, that truck would stop.
Didn't even think about it. I did.
Who said they had a 90, was it 95, 99, 95? You, excuse me, I know it's Chuck. 1995, when the last time you had your brakes changed?
About a couple months ago.
Why'd you have them changed?
Because it was making noise.
It was making noise. Okay, so That let you know.
Baby change.
And who changed him? What was the man's name? Omar changed him? You sure Omar or Omar Shop changed him?
The shop.
Okay, so what was the man that changed him?
I don't know what's name.
Was he sober, high?
Wasn't there.
What kind of brakes did he put on? What was the number? I mean,
I let pass.
but you trusted that he did it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Man,
It was a human being.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And you prayed over them brakes, didn't you? As he was putting them in,
I
right?
wasn't there.
You weren't even there. You just left the car with a stranger.
Yeah.
And you just believed he was going to put on the right thing. And that when you put your foot on the brake, that car would start.
Yeah, if it didn't, I'm going back.
How you getting back? You'd probably be dead.
Well, hopefully I will. If I'm not, and I can't go back, I'm going back.
But you trust him.
Yes, I do.
And you're trusting you can get the car back.
Yeah.
I find this interesting. Last time you checked your oil? Well, see, isn't this how Holy Ghost? Who changed your oil?
Jiffy Lube.
Okay, what was the man's name? Did you stay? Did you watch and supervise? How many quarts he put in? What it really, a new filter? You just trusted him. You had confidence, like this one over here, that he did it. How do you know he put the right amount of oil in? How do you know that's not a used filter he had in the back and it looked good when he put it? You don't know. And you just left the car with him. You had confidence in a stranger. Why? Because he worked for Jiffy Lube.
They change oil there.
They change oils there. How do you know that? You watch them change people's oils all day? When the last time you looked at the water in your battery?
Am I?
What are going No, did you?
Y'all didn't know it was fluid in that battery.
I knew it was acid,
But I know.
It is a water substance that goes in. Water and acid. You didn't know you're supposed to look at it every now and then to see if one of your cells is low? You look, take the cap off and look. Yeah, don't you two do it. Don't you two do it. Don't you two do it. So you had never looked at it. But you trust that your battery gonna get you where you need to go. Y'all are some trusting people. What year is your vehicle? Excuse me? Don't get soft.
2001.
When last time you had something done to it? What'd you have done? She don't want me to talk to her. You had a new, how do you know it's new? You paid new starter price. Okay. But I asked you, how do you know it's a new starter? You just had confidence. What was the man that's name that put it on? Omar didn't put it on, trust me. Omar shop that got real popular in this church. So one of his men put it on. You don't know their name? Was he high when he did it? Drunk? Does he even know what he's doing? So why'd you take the car over there? Why'd you have it towed to Omar?
He told me to look out for me.
Oh, he told you he would look out for you.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I think some people over there have felt that one. A human being told her that he would look out for her. And so she gave him her car, worth a few thousand, and had confidence that she has a new starter. Not a remanufactured starter. Not a starter they had around and it worked from an old broke up car. You paid him for a new starter you never saw. Can't hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
I know it's hard, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. You had confidence in that man.